Oh man, how lame is tumbling? It's so friggin' hard, yet there's nowhere to learn it, right? So we're gonna talk about the back handspring today, but it's not gonna be necessarily a tutorial. I'm just gonna give some tips and some of my thoughts on approaching the skill. Now, let's just start with some prerequisites. If you wanna be quite well equipped at taking on the back handspring, you need to have a good understanding of upper body plyometrics, which we did talk about in this front handspring video. So make sure you go to the front of that video and just check out the upper body plyos, and then you can kind of tick some of those boxes there. The second is being able to do a bridge. Now, because I'm quite tight shoulder and thoracic, like mid-spine, the bridge isn't always there for me, and I can still back handspring. So it's not necessarily you have to be able to bridge to back handspring, but if you can bridge, it sets you up so much better to be able to take on this skill. And then the last one, this is also a bit debatable because definitely people have learned a back handspring before they've learned to back tuck, but I think understanding how to back tuck is going from feet to feet is also a valuable prerequisite for a back handspring. Now, I say this because of my own experience, because I'm more a power tumbler and less mobility and flexibility is expressed in my tumbling. The back tuck was something that I learned first, and then I'm actually going to give you guys a little bonus tip right now in this video. You've stumbled upon this bonus just by accident and found you. So I'm not necessarily recommending that you go and do this, but I know there's a lot of people out there that want to be able to do a back handspring but don't have access to a gymnastics center, and definitely don't have access to what I'm doing these examples on right now, crash mats and air tracks. So if you can do a back tuck, how I approached a back handspring, again, this is not the best way, this is not the right way, but this is how I did it when I was younger, is I practiced doing back tucks where I put my hands down on the landing. So if I show a very bad version of a back tuck where I'm trying to put my hands down, it looks something like this. And the hands are down. Now, if I get used to doing that movement a little bit more and start to take a bit more force through my arms, remembering the upper body plyometrics would be a prerequisite to this, I can start taking a bit more weight through my hands. And it starts to get that remnant look of feet, hands, feet, a traditional back handspring. Obviously, I'm speed running through the process of how to do it, but if you have no access to equipment, maybe you got, what I did is had mattresses, like old mattresses from not even my house, which is a bit fucked up now that I think about it. But I would use them for cushioning. I use blankets and pillows. This isn't how you should learn, but I just know I had nothing when I was younger in terms of coaches and tutorials and stuff like that. And that was the way I approached it, was just starting to open up your back tuck more. Okay, so let's get on with back handspring. What are some of the key features that make this skill so that you can perform it confidently and, more importantly, aesthetically? We want those likes. Let's just start from the beginning, an entry into your back handspring. So this is where some of the biggest mistakes are made for a back handspring, and it's in the confusion of what a back handspring is. Back handspring is an extension backwards. It's actually not a jump up at all. So approaching it like a back tuck, whoopsie, I just told you to do that. Actually, to truly do it, you don't want to approach it like a back tuck, but what I said actually helps if you've got no equipment. You want to push back. So we're going to use this crash mat just to look at some examples. Let's start with what I see done wrong. So assuming that this is just going to catch me, but here's how I would enter my back handspring. The first mistake people make is actually jumping into their attempt of a back handspring. So I set up, I jump, and say I was trying to go over it. That is too much height. If I'm doing a good looking back handspring, there's actually not really much, if any, air time in the skill, because all that effort I was just putting in to go up, I actually should be putting into pushing backwards. Now, we will get to that, how we train that, but here's the second error, is in your attempt you're about to go, is this is what you should be doing, act like you're sitting into a chair that isn't there. Beware, I despair. Fucking rhyming. So what you're gonna do is act like you're sitting into a chair, and the moment you would actually be pranked and you would fall on your butt, that is when you flick over or extend back. Now, the error that people make is they start with their weight upright. They'll bend the knees and then go for the move from here, but they're still balanced on their feet. You want to be sitting back and be behind. You actually couldn't pause in this and feel out the position. It's something you have to go into to feel when the timing is right. So people starting above and pushing like that, as opposed to sitting into it and pushing backwards. That is a big difference maker. Let's look at how we do this properly. So how we want to set up for our back handspring is push back and fully extend through the body. We're thinking of wanting to extend through our leg. We're thinking of wanting to extend through the hips, and we're thinking of wanting to extend through the shoulder. So take a little bit of a step away, act like I'm sitting into a chair. When that chair would not be there, beware, to catch me, is I'm trying to, at that moment in time, extend back into the crash mat. So the drill can look like this. And fully extend. One more time. So, of course, this is not addressing opening up and looking back, but this is how we enter into our back handspring compared to the other two, and those other two are very common errors that I see. Hey. Okay, so the next thing is what our torso is doing when we back handspring. Now, I've seen some people that are actually quite athletic and have a very bendy lower back, and they actually get their back handspring quite quickly because they can easily do, say, back walkovers or press into a bridge without much prior training. Now, the problem with this is the lower back does have a tendency to get effort dumped into it rather than it be an efficient way to get around for something like a back handspring. So actually what we want to do, we look at our torso, we have our lower, mid and upper back. When we back handspring, we inevitably will probably arch through our lower back, but we actually want to try to put our focus on the mid to upper back being what extends as we go into the movement. So you can see I can do no extension of my mid to upper back, and I can arch my lower back a lot. Even if you just do this as just stand and do it, you can feel like that doesn't feel quite strong or quite healthy for your lower back. Whereas if I stand here and try to do minimal with lower back and pull my shoulders back and open through the mid to upper, that feels like a strong position. It feels like my back muscles are contracting and opening up my chest. The next thing is the shoulder extension to go along with it. So I'm opening through my mid back, and I'm also trying to get my shoulders to push tall and open in addition. Now, look at the arch I'm trying to get in my mid back. Look at the opening that I'm getting in my shoulders. And that's where we're trying to put the focus in a back handspring, not just an arch through our lower. If you do primarily arch through your lower back, like the people that I've seen, you're very quickly going to get lower back problems if you're repping out back hamstrings. The lower back can only take so much, and it inevitably will. You see a lot of divers and gymnasts ending up with lower back, not problems, but a lot of wear and tear in the area. So if it's going to do its thing anyway, we really want to try and put the focus in strong structures, which is the thoracic and the shoulders, and knowing how to open that up is very important. So the drill that we're doing is a back to wall handstand, and we're looking to kick up into that handstand and kick back down, but there's one intention we want to try and enforce when we go up. So I kick up, I try to push as tall as I can through my shoulders, open my shoulders as much as I can, hold for a moment, and then kick back down. Let's have a look at that. Kicking up. From my handstand, I'd push as tall as possible through my shoulders. I open my shoulders as much as I can, keeping that length and tension, and then I kick back down. If that felt okay, you can take your hands a little bit further away from the wall, and you can do the same thing again. So hands a bit further, same thing, kick up and over,
find the wall, pushing tall, open through my shoulders, and then kick back down.
The further you can go from the wall, the more you're starting to replicate the position that you're going to land in when you go for your back handspring. The last little detail here is there'll be a point where you can go too far from the wall with the hands, that there's no room here. That's when you go hands closer again and bring a horizontal platform for your feet to land on. Okay, so I would find my feet on the box, I would push tall and open, and then I would kick myself back over. Fortunately, with this box, I could take that layer off, then that layer, as I keep working my feet lower and lower. So you're essentially working towards your bridge, your back walkover doing this, but it's not necessarily the goal. The goal is to just understand how to open shoulders and thoracic rather than into your lower back. Learning that will set you up for a much stronger position for your back handspring. Do not bring your legs under and do nothing with your upper body. We're coming into the finish of the back handspring. Now, what does the body do here? It matters a lot to set you up for a strong straight jump or another back handspring. So the main thing is that we don't want to plank. We don't want to pull the legs underneath us without the upper body doing anything. Let me just show a quick example of what that means so you've got the visual. So let's just say I've done the back handspring, I'm coming back around. We don't want the body to do this. So see how I just pulled the legs underneath me, but the upper body didn't really do anything. We really want to move between two positions when we finish the backhand or the second half of the back handspring. We assume that we're in more of a Superman shape as we've gone into the back handspring, and we're trying to go into a dish shape to finish the move. Now, there's a drill that we can do, which I usually have my clients do for round-offs. It's equally as effective and appropriate for finishing a back handspring. So what we're trying to do, keeping in mind a handstand is a good prerequisite for this, but we don't have to go up to handstand, is we're looking to jump up and hit somewhat of a Superman position. So from here, jump and hit that Superman position. Now remember, don't confuse that with just arching your lower back. Superman is length and tension by squeezing your glutes and pulling your heels back. So that is the shape that we want with the lower body when we perform Superman. Now, when you get to the peak of that jump, you'll be in a Superman shape. As you're coming down, you're looking to move into a dish shape. Going into that dish as you're coming down creates a lot of momentum, and it sets your body to land in a long but tensed position or tight position, and that will help give you that spring. So looking at the difference between the plank and the Superman to dish, legs coming right under me and giving me nothing in return, versus trying to dish. Big spring. Big fucking spring. So even though it might not look like a perfect dish in Superman, the whole key here is overall body tension, moving between an open hipped position to a closed hipped position. Being able to do that and understand that and applying it to your back handspring will give you the best result. Understand that tumbling for adults is really difficult and really demanding on a range of things: strength, coordination, and your mobility. Give this stuff a go. If you've got access to a good coach, awesome. If you've got access to a good facility, even better. And let me know how you go with the journey. Any questions down in the comments below. Watch the other tumbling videos because they are all going to help your tumbling journey. And I'll see you for the next one.